What if I told you that this app, and this app were all built without writing a single line of code? Thanks to AI and no-code tools, you can now build fully functional, full-stack applications without any experience in coding whatsoever. And in today's video, I'm breaking down which of these are the best tools suited for you, from drag and drop builders all the way through to fully integrated development environments. Which of these AI builders are going to fit the bill best for you and what you want to accomplish? Let's jump in. Alrighty, so you want to build your next $1 million app without any coding experience. That is why you're here. This is what we're going to cover in this video. We are going to look at what are the types of applications you could build, some of the successful use cases, who has achieved success in the AI space or in building applications with AI no-code builders. We're going to show you where that standard is, what you could potentially achieve. There are people that are making thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars MRR with apps that were built using AI and no-code builders, people who have no coding experience. So we're going to look at a couple of those. Then we're going to look at what do you need to build an application. We're going to look at fundamentals, front-end, back-end, APIs. These may seem like complex terms, but we're going to cover them in the most basic way possible. It's just so that you know what you need in order to build the application that you want. This is going to be the main part of this video, which is not all builders are built the same. They aren't. There are no-code tools out there that are a little bit more on the technicality side. If you're maybe a developer who's now using AI in their development work, these are the tools that you should be using, versus someone out there who has never coded before in their life, does not really care to code or know about how the code works. Which are the builders that are best suited for you? Alrighty, so all of these apps over here were built without writing a single line of code. We've got three examples. The first example over here, and I'll zoom in a bit, is CalAI. It's a calorie tracker. It is an app that has done really, really well. The individual who created this was 18 years old and basically used AI so that you could snap a picture of any food item and it will basically use AI to analyze what is this food item, and then obviously go and do some research to understand what are the calories. So you can see there's a scanning of pancakes with blueberries, and it's picking up all of the different calories. Alrighty, and then we've also got an AI resume builder. Uses AI to build out your resume or CV. And finally, AI carousels. If in the social media game, if you want to build out carousels, you can use AI to do this. And these are just three of the applications that individuals have used no-code tools and AI to build out these full stack applications that they now charge people monthly to use, and it's bringing in recurring income for them. Alrighty, so now let's get into it. So what do you need to build an application, right? So let's pull the veil back here. First up, you need a front end. This is what users interact with. It's buttons, forms, links, anything you can click on, that is part of your front end. And overall, it's how the application looks. It's the face of the application. So your different pages, your home, your checkout page, your product page, all the different pages you'll see on a website and that is your front end. So I'm on the apple.com page, the main Apple page. And from a front end perspective, that would be all of your pages at the top here. So store, Mac, iPad, iPhone. And then if you scroll down, anything that's clickable. So all of these over here that pop up, you see how they move. And these will obviously be buttons with links to different pages. But this is the overall look and aesthetic of your website or your web app. Alrighty, so moving on. Backend. This is what happens when you click the buttons or submit the forms. There's no point in having a beautiful looking front end that when you click on a button, nothing happens. So you need a backend. This is basically, the backend will handle the logic of your application. It's the brain of your application. So think of it that when you click on a button, some action needs to happen. That action needs to be facilitated by code. In the olden days, that would have to be developed out by humans. Now you can use AI as your handy little sidekick in order to build out the full backend. And that is the beauty and power of AI. Alrighty, so third one is database. This is the place to keep all your user information. So think login, signups, authentication. If you're going to have people actually use your application and have the ability to sign up and then log into their account and then upgrade to a premium feature or be able to become a premium member by paying, you have to log those details. You have to log that information. So you need a database. So where your backend is your brain of your computer, the database is part of that brain, but it's the memory, right? It's being able to remember the users, remember their information, so that down the line, that can be used for allowing the user to log back into the application in order to use it and to save their progress. Next up is APIs. An API is an application programming interface. And all it does is it allows you to connect to third parties or external other applications and fetch the data from there to be used in your application. A perfect example is something like Stripe in order to facilitate payments. So when someone clicks checkout, it takes them to the Stripe checkout page. They fill in their details. All the handling of the banking details is handled by Stripe, not by your application. Once there's a successful checkout, it comes back to your application and the user is now noted as a premium user on your database backend. Pop it into your application and that creates that connection from your application through to Stripe. And this can be done for any third-party application. And finally is hosting. The ability to bring your application online. There's no point in having your app offline where people can't use it, people can't pay to use it. You have to bring it online, and there's hosting platforms that will allow you to host all your code, front end, back end, database, all of that, and bring it online for you so that you can ship it out to the world. The beauty of it is AI takes care of most of this for us. So that moves us on to our next point. Moving along, all right? So full stack no code AI tools, right? There are tons of AI tools out there, but I like to split them into two groups. There's ones that are called IDEs, so integrated development environments that use AI. And what I mean by this is these are ones that are a little bit more technical. So you're still going to be doing some coding, but you're going to use AI as your helping hand to help you facilitate coding in a more efficient and quicker manner. Then you get number two, which is AI builders. These are for the people out there, probably the people watching this video that know nothing about code, they have never really coded before in their life, wouldn't know where to start, and will rely on AI a lot more. It's very important that you know which of the two groups to go with so that you don't feel overwhelmed and that you have that ability to get to your final goal in a quick and efficient way. Based on either two of these groups, you can ask yourself a question. I want to know about the actual code, right? Based on the answer to that question, yes or no, you're going to know which group of AI builders or no-code tools you should be using. Let's look at these two groups. So if you want to go the IDE route, you want to go a little bit more technical, you've coded before, or you haven't coded before, but you want to know about coding. You actually care about the code. You care about how it works and how it operates from a fundamental coding perspective, from a development standpoint. You can go with an IDE and you can use AI to help you. So we've got a few here. Let's unveil these. First one is Cursor.ai. Second one over here would be VSCode. Just note that there is some AI component, but not like any of these others. So as a fundamental, no AI. And finally, Windsurf, which is pretty new, is an IDE that you can check out. So these are the three IDEs. From a AI builder perspective, so first one up is Lovable. It is the fastest growing startup in Europe at the moment. They are doing really great work. It's probably my favorite or my go-to AI no-code application. Then you've got Bolt.new, also fundamentally very, very similar, but just as good. And I've used this to build out applications before, both from a personal standpoint and for clients. And finally is a new one, which is Databutton. These are our 6 main applications, 3 IDEs, 3 AI builders. From an IDE perspective, given that this channel is focused on no coders and really focusing on people who don't really want to know about the code that much, this is something that I will not cover, but we will go ahead and cover these AI builders going forward. And just before we move on, to say that you care about code, that it doesn't matter, it does. I mean, there's some cases where you need to care about the code. Definitely, it's fundamental because it really comes down to the pros and cons of each of these, which both have, right? So from a no-code perspective, this group over here, it's easy to learn, it's fast to build, and it's great for non-technical people, which a large part of the target audience of this channel is no coders. But there's a lot to be said about it's less flexible. For highly customized apps or highly scalable apps, there is definitely, you've got to definitely keep your wits about you of how you go about using these tools. That being said, you can get to that scalability, which we've seen in our apps that we discussed at the start of this video. People were able to get there, but it is something to take into consideration, especially on how big of an app you want to build. And then from the IDE perspective, the pros here is you have more power and flexibility for advanced projects and for highly scalable projects. But the cons here is if you don't know how to code, very likely that you'll hit a wall and give up really, really easily and not know where to go or what to do because the learning curve is so steep. So if you want to skip that learning curve and you just want to care about shipping products, go with your AI builders. If you care more about the code and you want to build highly advanced projects, in a very set standard way and knowing about the code, then go with your IDEs. Okay, so let's talk about Lovable. I've got to say, this is one of my favorite applications. It's all about simplicity. It doesn't just help you build applications. It will help you with things such as deployment. It will help you with things such as database. So it uses with Superbase, which is a database provider, and it will dynamically create records on that database. So you don't have to go to the database on Superbase and create different records or different fields for your new customer and then come back and then use. Another aspect about Lovable I like is the templates. So you've got set templates from Lovable themselves that you can use as a starting point, but then you've also got these two over here, latest and featured, which are all public available projects. So whenever you build something on Lovable, you can set it to private or you can set it to public. And there's a lot of people that are just kind of messing around and building applications, maybe for videos like this, and you'll get an MVP up and running or a POC or proof of concept, and they'll have that up and it'll be public. So all of those go into a big repository here. So you can see up to 43 minutes ago, there are a whole bunch of people working on different projects, and you can open up any of these and start diving into them. One thing I would have liked from Lovable is just a little bit more of a categorization of all of these. It would be cool to know, it's grouped into something like their templates, for example, like SaaS startup landing pages or corporate websites. So that's one of the things I love. And probably the biggest thing from Lovable, which is quite new, is their Figma integration, which I actually did a video on, and I'll put on the screen somewhere here. What they've done is they've integrated with Figma, so it allows you to take beautiful UIs that you've developed and designed into Figma and port them straight through to Lovable. So you can design how your front end will look when we spoke about front end, so how everything will look, bring it into Lovable, and then add your functionality, and there you got a full application MVP ready to go. Coming down here, Lovable is best for POCs and MVPs. That is proof of concepts and minimal viable products. It is getting an initial idea out the door, and it allows you to do that, I'm talking, within hours. So if you have an idea in mind, you can go to Lovable, you can add in your text prompt to say, I want to build such and such, and it will build out that application very quickly. Let me show you an example. So we're in Lovable and we come to our little text box and we say money-making AI SaaS with Stripe integration. That's our idea. And we want Stripe integration so that we can get people to check out and pay for premium services, and we can get monetization on the app going. So what you'll do is you'll just hit enter, and it will go ahead and start building out that application. It will perform all the coding. It will spin up a preview for you, as you can see. And if you look at the left-hand panel, it's giving you guidance as to what it's doing and what it's trying to achieve. So design inspirations, features for V1, design elements to get that proof of concept or that MVP up and running. So I'm going to jump to once we have the preview up and we can have a look at what it looks like. So here's our preview. Within seconds, we've got our landing page to say transform your workflow with AI, launching soon, why choose us, and a couple of components there. And we can go ahead and start building out our application. The thing is, you can move from something like this to, I'll show you an application that I've just built out. So I've got an application over here, which is for a kind of skincare facial analysis. So you can see if we take an image, we can take our image over there, we can say analyze skin, and it's performing a AI analysis using Hugging Face in the background. And then obviously it's going to go through a set of questions and, so forth in order to answer those questions in that questionnaire and get to a point where it gives you a final skin analysis. And for example, with this, I've used an API with Hugging Face to a model that is being used to actually analyze your skin. Last but not least, a very important aspect is pricing. So Lovable starts out, there is a free version, which gives you, I think, 5 free prompts, which you'll use so quickly. So you'll obviously have to go and start at a paid version at the starter level, which is $20. This honestly gives you everything you need. Now with clients, I'm on the launch, which is $50 a month. I can use 2.5 times the max amount of prompts that you can use per month, which I need because I'm obviously on, I think some of these are on like 300, 400, 500 different edits that I go through continuously. So I'm on the launch, but I don't see myself moving to $100 a month anytime soon. So at $50 a month, you can start scaling this and building products for clients. Next up is Bolt.new. Very similar to Lovable. 2 main differences here. From a pricing perspective, they actually have a free version, personal, $0 a month, and you get a little bit more that you can do with that. It's more than 5 free prompts. It's not a lot more, but you can at least trial it out a little bit more than you can with Lovable, which I guess if that's what you're after, you can try that out. And then their pro version is $18 a month. So you save $2 there. Once you hit Teams, that's $29. So from a Teams perspective, maybe if you're servicing clients and you want to develop out an app that you want to put out there and it's going to take quite a bit of work, you'll probably have to go for the Teams level here, which is $29 compared to $50 for the launch. Similar aspect on Lovable, it is significantly cheaper. And one other aspect to consider is Bolt.new can be used offline. So you can actually host Bolt.new yourself if you really want to. It's actually known as Bolt.diy, do it yourself. One of them is Pinocchio, and in there I show you how you can download, install, and run Bolt completely offline using Bolt.diy. Alrighty, and finally I want to talk about Databutton. Databutton is unique in that it's very similar to Bolt.new and Lovable, in that if you can look at this first screen over here, what can we help you build today? There's a little prompt box. You can put in there what you want to build in natural language, and it will build out that first iteration, and you can continuously chat to the AI and carry on building like any no-code tool. However, it has got expert assistance when you need it. So if I zoom in over here, basically what it allows you to do is, it's a no-code platform with a twist, right? So it's designed to collaborate seamlessly with real developers. And it will bridge that gap between no-code builders and custom development, right? So for example, if you need assistance with your app, one thing I've found, and there's actually been a comment on one of my videos, was someone went and tried out Lovable and Bolt.new, but they just continuously fell into this loop of asking the AI to do something, and the AI would either in one case do it and something else would change. So this would now work, but something else is broken because there's been a change in the code, or you would ask the AI to do something and it wouldn't do it. So you'd have to rephrase, or you'd have to, go and be very specific, and you'd have to prompt it a little bit better. Databutton allows you to, if you're struggling from a dev standpoint, you can actually reach out to one of the developers and you can ask them a question, right? So there's a uniqueness in that because we now have the ability to use AI to build out our code base. But when we hit those walls, you now have the ability to reach out to a real human, a real dev, and maybe speak to them a little bit more one-on-one. AI is great, but it can sometimes give you very set answers back. For example, like, hey, can you change this? Yeah, I've changed it. Hey, can you change this? It's not changed. Can you change it again? Yeah, I've changed it. No, it's still not changed. And it gets into this loop. With this, you can be like, hey, listen, this is not working. That dev's not going to come back to you until there's an actual solution, right? And they're not going to change it for you, but they're going to give you some advice. So you can utilize that development knowledge through something like Databutton. And you can still do everything on top of everything that you already can do with Bolt.new and Lovable. So from a pricing perspective, you wonder, okay, is this like a lot more expensive? And it's not really. $20 a month, $50 a month for the launch, carbon copy of Lovable, right? So you get 75 credits a month for starter, and you get 200 credits a month for launch. 1 credit equals 1 code generation. So 75 prompts versus 200 prompts. The next bump up is $200 a month, which is 1,000 credits. And you can see here for testing out app ideas, for launching an MVP, and for scaling your app functionality. In my opinion, to get even to an MVP stand, you'll probably need scale, just because you're probably going to screw up a couple times. So, and that brings you to the $200 realm. So it's up to you whether you want to pay that premium price, because I feel like you would need to at least be in the launch or scale sphere, and there's nothing in between there. There's no $100 a month, which would be nice, but because I would think maybe a 500 credits a month could, get me to a point of having an MVP with a couple of screw ups, a couple of iterations to get to that point of saying, okay, I've got something to ship. But what you could do is maybe go and practice with Lovable and Bolt.new, improve your prompting skills. I'll actually, maybe if people are keen, drop in the comments and I can do a video just around prompting these no-code tools in the best possible way, and how you can use some other tools in order to build your prompts so they're very specific, so you're not wasting credits. And in all of these, you'll see here, you got a Discord community for both starter and launch. For scale, you have rapid response in product support with weekly office hours, and then obviously unlimited is a little bit more in product, helping fixing your app that actually gets stuck in and help you. So if you are developing out something that you want to ship to clients, $200, $500 a month might be worth it. It depends on your budget. Obviously, everyone's got different approaches to this, but with all of these, you are getting that ability to reach out to a human. And sometimes you need that. I love AI, I love no-code tools, but sometimes you just want to reach out to someone who's knowledgeable, more knowledgeable in a space than you are, and, utilize their knowledge. And Discord communities help already, Reddit communities help already. So this is one that is solely for Databutton, and it's definitely worth checking out, in my opinion. I'm not associated with Databutton at all. So I haven't done this. I'm not saying you should, but they do have this app launch program, which goes through discussing your app with an expert, finding those key features in a video call, going through the process, and then, kicking off meetings and launching the app. And that's from $5,000, and, it takes you 4 weeks. So if you've got a really good idea, maybe you've trialed it out and you've got an MVP using Lovable or Bolt.new, this could be an option to have a very guided way of building that out. But in my opinion, I wouldn't do it. I would go ahead and just use Lovable or Bolt. That is my final take on all of this. I think something like those no-code builders are good enough to get to an MVP stage, and then you just hack it. You just figure it out. Alrighty, so that's the video. All links to what we've discussed will be in the description below, as well as a link to my newsletter, which is focused on practical AI tips and tricks for people building on their own, solo entrepreneurs or, solo founders. In today's age, with AI, everybody can be a founder. So if you have an idea, check out the newsletter. There's definitely, there's articles coming out at least once a week that are focused to breaking down AI in the most practical way possible, or simplifying things that are going on in the news, or latest tools and tips and tricks. So if that sounds like something you want to check out, definitely do. Other than that, I will see you guys in the next video. If this was helpful, please do like and subscribe. I will see you guys on the next one. Cheers.